Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Okay, so here we are with a brand new edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. In the last rounds, unfortunately, the wheel was declared the winner of the 38th edition after 6 rounds. So we are on to a new game where hopefully the wheel won't repeat its triumph from last time. Here we are with the first round draw for the 39th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Uh, with this game, we've got 43 new people and alliances in it. So let's just go over who they are, familiarise ourselves with the competitors for this edition. They are Aidan Weller, 07, making his Tapology Lucky Bastard game debut. So welcome to the game and best of luck on your first time in the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Uh, Laugh my ass off and Nazy, or refer to as quite often. Baron von Rattus, Bellatrix, Boom Shakalaka, Calfoth, Canhaga Ruiz, C. Collins 44, Cheeseball, Chimps Mac, Costradamus, D1, D4, K10, Damien Handel 420, Dr. Maxis 2, El Guapo, Foghorn Sam, Graham Walk, who's also making his debut in the game. So best of luck to you as well, and hope you enjoy it first time in the game. Hopefully, the will be kind to you. Grahamon, great. It's your boy SB, Jack Soto, Jordan and Pippin, the first of our two alliances, QQQ, and Spockling's alliance, or the All American Alliance. JP to Champ 27, KK Kombu, Knife Rusty, Cushy Cake, Mule Floyd, Piggy Bank, Rigno, Shat, She Kine, I think that's pronounced. Again, another debutant, so best of luck and welcome. Welcome to the game. Apologies if I have mispronounced your name there. Feel free to correct me if I have. Siyun 6, me, Steve Terry, the Dirty UFC Man, the Matchmaker, the MMA Historian, Tosh, Trail, Trig, Troz, Uber Industry, the second of our alliances, Uber Match and Schwer Industry, the German alliance, Vazk 88, and finally Ex-Con Chris. So they are the 43 people taking part, and just want to say a massive thank you to everyone for taking part. Uh, that's what makes these games worth it. These games wouldn't be possible without people taking part. So thank you for that. And for this first round draw, we have UFC Fight Night from Belgrade in Serbia. Eurus Medic versus Daniel Rodriguez. And very interesting main event because you got Medic, who's obviously a hometown favourite, headlining in his home country. And he's been on a very hot streak recently. Three first round knockouts, wins, um, and I'd say he's a very exciting fighter at the moment, and certainly in form. And one definitely looking for a step up in competition, and he's up against Daniel Rodriguez, a little bit more experienced than him, who's also on a three-fight win streak, and again, another very dangerous fighter. He's got knockout power just like Rodriguez does, but in my opinion, I think Rodriguez just like Medics does rather. But in my opinion, I think Rodriguez is slightly more versatile than Medic is at the moment, even though Medic is the -400 favorite, but I think that's mostly just based on his last three fights rather than his whole career. And I think Medic's going to struggle a little bit here against Daniel Rodriguez. So I've actually gone with Rodriguez to win by fourth round knockout on the theory that maybe Magic will tire out a bit in the later rounds, having gone sort of gun ho for the victory in the early stages of the fight. Uh, so I think Rodriguez could be here to upset the hometown favourites. But here to listen to my predictions here to see who you're going to get drawn with for the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Obviously, there will be a lot of rambling. It's par for the course of these games, but let's get on with it. And our first to face the wheel is Aidan Weller 07, one of our debutants, and makes a change having someone else start the game because normally, obviously, we go through alphabetical order on this game, and normally A Laugh My Ass Off and AZ's the one that starts by default. So it's interesting to start with someone different. So our debutant up, one of our debutants up first. Be- Best of luck to Aidan Weller 07. Just make sure I'm sharing the page with the wheel on it and ready to go. Let's see who your first ever fighter in this game is going to be. And you get Tofik Musiev. Tofik Musiev for Aidan Weller 07. Uh, I'm going to butcher a lot of these names, both in terms of spelling and pronunciation. I just apologise to everyone involved with that. But anyway, Tofik Musiev up against Ludovic Klein. Again, another name I keep butchering, despite being a veteran of the UFC now. As for Musiev, 23 and 6 in his career, so a veteran of MMA, still fairly new to the UFC, 1-1 in the promotion, but most notable so far in his career is his 7-1 um, run in Rising, which obviously is very good promotion over in Japan. Produced some very high level fighters over there. Uh, and he's also won a Rising tournament back in 2019 as well. Um, Tends to look for early knockouts. Maybe he'll find one against Ludovic Klein, but I think that Ludovic Klein is just a bit too experienced. He's got too many more UFC fights under his belt than Tofik Musiev does. Um, Plus, of course, I know it shouldn't be a factor, but obviously it will be. The fact that Klein is the hometown favourite, fighting on his home turf, so the crowd's going to be right behind him as well. Um, in my opinion, I think Klein's going to win by decision, most likely unanimous decision. Uh, Mostly but on the strength of his grappling more than anything. I think he'll use that to control large portions of the fight and stifle the knockout threat of that Musiev carries. But so obviously, Aiden Weller's going to be hoping that I'm full of shit and that the my predictions are wrong. So and they are a lot of the time, but I think Aiden Weller might need a little bit of luck on his first ever game here. Okay, so we move on now to A, Laugh My Arse Off and Nazy, or A. Let's see who A is going to be paired with. And A gets Vlasto Seppo. Vlasto Seppo for A, Laugh My Arse Off and Nazy. Vlasto Seppo. It's, he's up against Gilbert Urbina. And I've got Seppo to win this one. First round knockout I've gone for. Um, Seppo's making his UFC debut after a fairly impressive 14-3 record on the regional scene, most notably 6-2 run in Octagon. Octagon also have a Fight Night card on tomorrow night as well. Um, I mean, obviously, I know we only use the UFC for this game, but other promotions are available. Um, but Seppo, as I say, tends to look for early knockouts. He's decent grappling too, but I think his knockouts is his main threat in to Yabina in this fight. Um, Yabina's sort of 1-3 in the UFC, and to be honest, I think fighting for his job to some extent. Uh, and I think if Seppo does have a good win over Yabina, this could be one of the last times we end up seeing Yabina in the UFC, subject to how many fights he has left on his contract, of course. But I think this is a fairly easy night's work for Seppo, and I think he should consider himself quite lucky. Actually, I think he's that's a pretty good fighter to get for your first round to set you off into the game. Okay, so we move on now to Baron von Rattus. Let's see who Baron von Rattus is going to be paired with. And he gets Milos Janisic. Milos Janisic there for Baron von Rattus. I think it's Janisic rather than Janisic. Yeah, Janisic. Uh, I think that's how we're spelling it. So there's a lot of funny accents in it, which I've no idea the commands on my computer to put that in. So again, apologies to Milos for butchering the spelling of your name there. I have got Janisic to win by second round knockout though, so that's a bit more favourable for him. Again, like Seppo, also making his UFC debut. And it's also former Octagon alumni, this time going 2-0 in that promotion. Also had a fight which he lost in KSW. So I suppose you can maybe make the argument that that's the sort of level he's at between KSW and Octagon, but I think that's a bit harsh. I think he certainly deserves his chance in the promotion and in the UFC, and I say very well-rounded fighter from what we've seen so far. Very equally dangerous by knockout and submission. Uh, Usually tries to get the finish early as well, which is always great to see from the fans' point of view. So um, yeah, that's why I think that's going to be his game plan for that. Just go out and try and get the early finish. His opponent, Noah Gagnon, also making his debut tomorrow night. Or tomorrow afternoon, rather. Obviously, it'd be well, at least over here, it'll be tomorrow afternoon anyway. Um, but he's also making his debut, having gone 3-0 in Ares, very respectable promotion in Europe, which is fast overtaking, I'd say, the likes of Octagon and KSW for quality. Um, and again, Gagnon, a very similar kind of fighter, um, in the sense that he looks to finishes early, um, and doesn't seem to just be a one-trick pony either. Like Jinisic seems to have a very well-rounded skill set. Um, I think for me though, the big difference is the experience between the two fighters here. Janisic 19-3 in his career, Gagnon only 9-2 in his career, and I think yeah, I think Janisic's experience is going to be the main factor that separates these two fighters tonight. I think we're going to see a much more mature fighter from performance from Janisic, much more experienced, and I think he'll just handle the occasion better because of that experience. But Obviously, Baron von Ratus is going to be hoping that's the case, as needs Janisic to win to get through. So, not too bad, so I'd say. There's obviously larger favourites on the card, but Janisic's a pretty good fighter to get drawn with. Okay, next is Bellatrix. Let's see who Bellatrix is going to be paired with. And Bellatrix gets Mark Vologden. Mark Vologden there for Bellatrix. And he's up against Borislav Nikolic, um, one of the hometown fighters, the Serbian fighters on tomorrow night's cards. And I have picked Nikolic for second round submission here. Um, Vologdin's very interesting start for the Russian. There's not many fighters that start with a draw in their tenure in the UFC. But he has a draw against John Castaneda in his last fight. Um, I say normally he looks to finish fights, obviously preferably by knockout. Normally that's his main style. I suppose almost a little bit similar to the other fellow Russian bantamweight Petr Yan to that extent, but obviously he couldn't quite find the finish in his last fight. Is that a sign of maybe not having the same kind of firepower as he steps up into the UFC? I don't know, but it's still too early to say. I'd say we still need to see a few more UFC fights from him, but it was a good showing. So even if he's not uh, knocking people out the same way he was on the regional scene, he's got enough skill to hang with the guys in the UFC. And as for Borislav, he's making his UFC debut. It comes from 6-2 records from Brave CF, which again they're a very respectable promotion over in sort of Eastern Europe and the Middle East. And again, he likes to try find knockouts to finish fights. It's not, I'd say that Nikolic though is better on the grounds than Vologdin is from what we've seen so far of them. So I think that's going to be the main difference. I think that Nikolic is going to be um, the one to test Vologdin in that sense, and I think Vologdin might get a little bit unstuck on the ground here. So I've gone with Borislav Nikolic for second round submission. Obviously, Bellatrix is obviously going to be hoping that, as I said earlier, that I'm full of shit and that I'm wrong with that. But I think Bellatrix will need a little bit of luck here. Okay, so we move on now to Boom Shakalaka. Let's see what the wheels got in store for Boom Shakalaka. And Dennis Bezuchka for Boom Shakalaka. Dennis Bezuka. How are we spelling that one? Buzu KJA. He's up against Bogdan Grad in a featherweight contest. Uh, I've gone with Bogdan Grad for a second round knockout here. Dennis Bezushka, it's not had the best start, the best run in the UFC. Let's be honest, he's 1-4 in the promotion. Um, Currently on a 2-fight losing streak as well, having lost against Marcio Barbosa last time, and again uh, I suppose quite lot of fighters on this card. There seems to be quite a few knockout artists on this card. There seems to be quite a few. I think this is card that probably produced quite a lot of knockouts on it because quite a lot of the um, well fighters from Europe tend to be Serbia, especially in that whole sort of old Eastern bloc of Europe. They tend to look for knockouts more than not 100% sure why, but it seems to be that's the main style of fighting they tend to go in for. But that's how Bazooka's going to look to finish the fights anyway. Um, but unfortunately, I just don't think he's really um, cut out for I say not I was talking about that Bogdan Grab there. So got fires muddled up there, not Bazooka. He's not from the not a Serbian one. Getting the names muddled up there. Yeah, that's of course Dennis Bazooka, the American, of course. He's don't know why I was rambling on about that. Probably got the name muddled up with someone else. Must have been reading the wrong section of my notes there. Anyway, as for Bogdan Grad, anyway, that's, like I say, it's what I mean when I say I'm full of shit. Um, anyway, Bogdan Grad, 1 and 2 in the promotion, which is better than Bazooka's 1 and 4 in the promotion. And again, Bogdan Grad's sort of in a situation where he needs a win as well. On a 2 fight losing streak. Obviously not quite as dire a situation though as Bazooka. Um, Lost to Luke Riley in his last fight, but looking to bounce back here, and I think Bazooka is the right sort of bounce back opponent for Bogdan Grad, and I think that's basically what's going to happen. Is I think Grad's going to get the finish, so I'll bounce back from that, get his career back on track. But I think this might be the last we see of Bazooka. Um, I keep butchering the name of as well. Apologies for that. But I think Boom Shakalaka is going to need a lot of luck to get through this first round. That is a very bad draw for him. So yeah, best of luck, but I wouldn't hold your breath, unfortunately. Okay, Calfoth is next up. Let's see who Calfoth is going to be paired with. And Calfoth gets Nina Milosevic. Nina Milosevic there for Calfoth. Milosevic. And up against Hayley Cohen. And obviously Milicic making her debut in the promotion. Um, Very exciting fighter from what we've seen so far. Looks for first round finishes most of the time, but I've still got a few questions about the quality of her opposition that she's been fighting. She's gone 8-1 against them, and she has finished a lot of them, which is what you'd expect to see. Never been finished either. All of her wins, all of her only loss rather was a decision. But Lady Cohen, despite having a less impressive 7-5 record and an 0-3 record in the UFC, I'd say has an overall better resume of fighters on her record. So she went 5-2 in the LFA, has a win in Invicta as well. Has struggled when she moved up to the UFC, admittedly, but I think people are seriously underrating Cohen here. I still think Milosevic is going to win, and I still think it should probably finish her as well. But I've gone with third round knockout for Milosevic, but Cohen, I think she's very tough. I think she's it's a real possibility that she can end up going the distance and uh basically, and well, she's going to put up a good showing, and I think will prove to be the toughest opponent Milosevic has come up against so far in her career. So um, I think this is going to be a lot more entertaining and a lot more hard fought than perhaps a lot of people are expecting. But as for Kalfoth, still very much on the right side of that fight, in my opinion. I still think Milosevic is going to get the win, and I still think that is a great draw for Kalfoth. So let's see who Canhego Ruiz will be paired with. As Canhego Ruiz up next to learn his fate. Bogdan Grad. So that gives us our first head-to-head. Um, Bogdan Grad for Canhego Ruiz. So that is yeah, Bogdan Grad versus Denis Bajuga. Or in this case, for the game, it is Canhego Ruiz versus Boom Shakalaka. And as I've said, I think that Bogdan Grad is going to be the heavy favourite in this one, and rightly so, given Brazuzka's recent struggles in the UFC. Um, it does look like this is sort of almost a setup fight for Bogdan Grad, sort of get back to form, really. Um, but as so as for Brazuka, not sure. Like I say he's got knockout power. Um, got the ability to end fights early, but that hasn't really translated too well at this level. And Bogdan Grad's had his own struggles as well, so perhaps you could argue that this is a reasonable fight for Bazuka to potentially win. It might be a winnable fight for him, but I think this is Grad's all the way. So I think Canhego Ruiz is going to be on the right end of this head to head. And it'd be interesting to see if any more fighters get lumped on this. Still in the early stages of the draw, so it's very possible more fighters will get lumped onto this fight. Potentially early contender for the unofficial title of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event. Okay, next is C Collins 44. Let's see who C Collins 44 is going to be paired with. And C Collins gets Haley Cohen. So that is another head to heads there. Haley Cohen for C Collins 44. And as I was just saying, Nina Milosevic should be the favourite for this one. And obviously the main threat being her knockout power, but Cohen very experienced by comparison. Um, the more experienced of the two, and in my opinion, just has the higher quality uh, record because okay, 7-5 in her career doesn't sound great on paper, but it's when you break it down as being three of those fights are UFC fights. Um, seven have been in the LFA, so straight away that's 10 of her 12 career fights in good promotions. The other one of the other ones being an Invicta. That's 11 out of her 12 fights being from uh very respectable regional promotions. Uh and So she's always been fighting other very good uh fighters, is what I'm trying to say. So if we're going by the whole iron sharpens iron theory, you'd have to say that her record is a result of fighting better quality fighters, rather than um, I'd say potentially if Hayley Cohen was fighting some of the opponents that Milosevic fought on the regional scene, she would have a much better record, potentially an 8-1 records like Milosevic does. Um, Having said that, Milosevic still, this is, I mean, the UFC clearly want her to win this as well because again, hometown fighter to get a knockout, especially in front of a home crowd, that'd be massive for the UFC and for her atmosphere. And another star from Serbia, which have been, I would say, Serbia as a whole was massively punching above their weight in terms of the number of stars that they have produced in the UFC relative to the size of the country. Um, so I'm sure the UFC would be looking to get as many fighters make a name for themselves on this card as they can. And Milicevic should be the latest addition, I'm sure. But Hayley Cohen, I think she's going to put up a good fight. Potentially drag it out to the distance and really teach Milicevic one or two things, even if Milicevic will still uh, get the win eventually. Okay, so we move on now to Cheeseball. Let's see who Cheeseball is going to be paired with. And Cheeseball gets Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz there for Cheeseball. In the co-main events against Navarro Sterling. I'm trying to spell his name right. Been in the UFC forever and still can't spell his bloody name. Blach Owicz. There we go. Right, so Jan Blachowicz against Navarro Sterling in the co-main event. And this is your very typical veteran versus the up and coming prospect kind of fight that the UFC loves to make, the old handing of the torch kind of fight. Jan Blachowicz, of course, been around forever with 29 wins, 11 losses, 2 draws in his career, 12 wins, 8 losses, and 2 draws in the UFC. So 22 UFC fights to his name, which is an absolutely ridiculous record these days. 16-2 in KSW should be noted as well. So even before his time in the UFC, he was still fighting very good quality opposition. Of course, he's former light heavyweight champion UFC. A very well-rounded veteran. There isn't anything that Sterling will be able to throw at him that he hasn't already seen. But when you get to the hard facts of it, though, he is 43 years old now, and his last win was 4 years ago against Alexander Rakic. And Navarro Sterling, on the other hand, 10-0, 5-0 in the UFC. He's been knocking people out left, right, and centre. He knocked out Iron Kutalaba last time, and that's his style really. He just goes around knocking everybody the fuck out, and also has the stamina to go the distance as well, as he's proven on a few occasions. So it's not as if there's any risk of him gassing out. I don't think that's a risk at all, to be honest. I don't think he needs to worry too much about that. He is a little bit, I suppose, potentially inexperienced on the ground game, and Blachowicz, a very strong wrestler. When Sterling, on the other hand, he's never won or lost by submission. So Blachowicz, I'm sure, will be looking to target that and use his size and experience and just try and control him through the wrestling. But overall, I still think Navarro Sterling is going to win. I still think he's going to get a win, but it'll be by decision. I think. I don't think. Um, I don't think Jovic is going to be um knocked out by Sterling. To be honest, I think Sterling wins mostly just on youth, really, just being faster, quicker, just getting to shots that um uh before Blahovic, I think. But obviously, in his prime, this Blahovic should be a no contest. He just demolish Sterling in the first round. But it's I think his age is going to catch up to him here. It's going to be we've seen it loads of times before. A legend of the sports up against the young up and comer, and more often than not, the up and comer is the one who ends up getting the results. So I think that's what's going to happen here in this one. Okay, so we move on now to Chimp Smack. Let's see who Chimp Smack is going to be paired with. And it's Tofik Musayev for Chimp Smack. Um, Tofik Musayev for Chimp Smack there. I believe it was our first. Um, let's see. He's definitely come up. Yeah, it was Aidan Weller who had Musayev. I'm sure. I'll just double check there. Yeah, it was Aidan Weller, Davidson, who had Musayev as well. So that's two on Tofik Musayev. Um, Up against Ludovic Klein. I still got Klein to win by decision. Still think he's going to be uh, one coming out on top here. Hometown fighter says the crowd's going to be right behind him as well. Um, Coming off that win against Mateus Uzbek is going to be full of confidence as well. So, um, Musayev, I'll say not a bad fighter at all. We saw that during his time in Rising. And you don't end up with a 7-1 record in Rising without being a seriously good fighter. Um, so just a case of will he transpire to the UFC potentially? But I think I think just about able to hang in the promotion from what we've seen so far. One win, one loss so far. Whether he's going to be around long term, I'm not so sure, but I think so, and I hope he will. But Klein is a tough fight for him tomorrow night. Um, and I think Klein will just get the better of him tomorrow. So Chimps Max might need a little bit of luck there. Okay, so Kostradamus is up next, fighting alone. Obviously, was for the last game part of Trosstradamus with along with Tros. Um, they have split up their alliance, I believe, for the third time now. So maybe fighting on his own is going to bring him a bit more luck. Maybe that'll benefit uh, Trosstradamus. Hope so, but Trosstradamus, as the alliance, did have a decent run in the last game. To be fair, um, but anyway, good luck to Kostradamus. Let's see who the wheel has in store for you. And it's Noah Gugnon for Kostradamus there. Noah Gugnon. And up against Milos Janisic. Someone else got Janisic earlier as well. I won't bother going through every single matchup and head to head at this stage. Otherwise, we'd be here all night, just spending the whole video just going over who's been drawn with who and which fighters have got how many people on. But it's Noah Gugnon and Janisic. So Gugnon making his debut, as is Janisic as well, of course. And as I said earlier, the two similar fighters, both respectable regional records, both making their UFC debuts, both uh, dangerous knockout artists, and decent on the ground as well. I think, as I said earlier, I think Janisic is the more experienced of the two, and I think just having that many more fights under your belt is going to do him a world of good in terms of his confidence, if nothing else. So I think it's going to be a very close fight, but Gugnon should be the slight underdog here. Um, and I would say the reason for that being his relative inexperience in comparison to Janisic. Obviously, Damas is going to be hoping I'm wrong with that, but I think might need a little bit of luck here, and maybe not going as far as Damas did, Trostradamus did rather, in the last game. Right, so next up, D1, D4, K10. Let's see who D1, D4, K10 is going to be paired with. He went right to the end last time. So hoping for a similar run in this one. Hopefully go one further so the wheel isn't crowned the winner again. And Oban Elliott is the fighter for D1, D4, K10. The Welsh gangster. There are better nicknames out there, admittedly. Um, 3-2 in the UFC, 12-4 in his career. Obviously, decent running Cage Warriors as well. Is currently on a two-fight losing streak though. Needs to turn that around. Uh, he got knocked out by Jonathan McAuliffe in his last fight. Um, Fairly well rounded, but as I say, he's been a bit sort of 50-50 in the UFC, and he's been paired rather unfavorably with Michael Oliveira, making his debut in the promotion, but still undefeated in his career. 9-0 in his career, 6-0 in the LFA. Obviously, won his Contender Series fight as well, and he's a pure knockout artist. His style, he's just going to go in there and he's just going to go in there and try and knock Oban the fuck out. And honestly, I can see that happening. I can see that's being what transpires in the fight tomorrow night. So I suppose the only argument you can make for Elliot is if he does survive the early onslaught, maybe Oliveira will gas out because Oliveira's never actually been taken the distance so far, never won or lost by decision. And I think you can definitely make an argument that Elliot's going to be the toughest fighter he'd have fought so far. So if Elliot can survive that early onslaught, then maybe make it difficult in the middle and later rounds. And who knows, maybe Oliveira will gas out and Elliot will be able to get a decision win or potentially even a late finish. But the truth is, Michael Oliveira is a heavy favourite and with good reason too. So I think D1, D4, K10 is going to be needing a bit of luck here. Okay, Damien Handel, 420, next to Face the Wheel. Let's see who Damien Handel gets paired with. And he gets one of our main eventers, the hometown fighter of the main event, Eurus Medic. As Eurus Medic for Damien Handel, 420. And 13-3 in his career, 7-3 in the UFC. So he spent most of his career in the UFC. So he's been fighting high level opposition for a while now. And recently, of course, he's on a first round knockout win streak. All last three fights, he's won them all by first round knockout. Notably, Jeff Neal in the last fights. Um, Interestingly, as well, Medic has got to this stage of career having never gone the distance either. Never won or lost a fight by decision. Um, and to an extent, I think that's partly why when I was saying earlier that I've got Daniel Rodriguez to win this one, that's partly why Rodriguez, in my opinion, is going to have a better gas tank. And Rodriguez has got a very good skill set himself. He's, I would argue, more well-rounded than Medic is. So that combined with what I think could be a better potential gas tank than Medic when it gets into the later rounds. Bearing in mind this is a 5 round fight. Um, so Medic isn't used to this kind of fights. I suppose Rodriguez isn't particularly used to them either, but I think Rodriguez is going to be better prepared for a longer fights. And yeah, I think that Rodriguez could potentially find a late knockout here. I've gone with a 4th round knockout. I suppose it's probably more likely he wins by decision, but uh, I suppose for 4th round knockout's a bit more of a fun prediction, isn't it? But yeah, I think that we'd be looking at an upset in the main event here, despite Medics being a heavy favourite. Um, I think Rodriguez will be here to spoil the party. So Damien Handel's obviously going to be hoping that the bookies are right and that I'm wrong. And if that's the case, then he'll go through without too much difficulty. But um, I I wouldn't want, when it comes to my turn, I wouldn't want to be drawn with Medics, to be honest. I wouldn't be overly confident in that. Um, but best of luck anyway. So, in theory, though, according to the bookies, you should have a fairly straightforward run to the second round. And you obviously be hoping that that is the case and I'm wrong. Okay, so we move on to Dr. Maxis 2 now. Let's see who Dr. Maxis 2 is going to be matched with by the wheel. Robert Valentin for Dr. Maxis 2. Robert Valentin. Up against Dusko Todorovic in a middleweight contest. And I've gone with Todorovic here to win this fight by 2nd round knockout. Again, Todorovic, another Serbian fighter fighting on his home patch. He's been in the UFC for a while now with a 4-6 record, but he has shown he can hang in the promotion. I don't think he'll ever be causing too much trouble in the middleweight division, but he's a solid fighter to have on the UFC cards. So he sort of earned his place in the promotion despite having a losing record in the promotion. Valentin, on the other hand, arguably fighting for his place in the promotion, 1-3 in the UFC. He got a very crucial win last time against Julian LeBlanc, submission win at that as well. And if he hadn't, then I think that we might not have had this fight. But that was a crucial win for him. And of course, this is I'd say an equally crucial fight for him. He'll be looking to build on that and go 2-3 in the promotion, and then build a case for why he should stay in the promotion. And he is the favourite going into this one as well, I believe. He is the slight favourite with the bookies. maybe off the strength of his submission game mostly. Uh, that's his main path to victory. If he's going to get the win, he's going to do it by submission, I'd have thought. Um, but I think Todorovic's going to be too powerful for him. I think uh, Todorovic's stand-up game is going to be the main deciding factor of this fight, and so yeah, that's why I've gone with Todorovic for a second round knockout, and of course with the home crowd behind him, that will help. Like I say, it shouldn't be a factor, but it definitely will psychologically affect the Serbian fighters fighting tomorrow. So Dr. Max is two, not too bad to draw, all things considered. In with a chance, but I think we need a bit of luck here. El Guapo next to face the wheel. Let's see who El Guapo has been is going to be paired with. And he gets Jovan Lecker. Another new fighter out of the hat there, Jovan Lecker. And heavyweight fight against Alexander Popek. And both fighters making their UFC debuts. Lecker coming into the promotion with a 13-2 record. And Popek coming with a more experienced 21-5 record. Lecker, former Armada champion of regional promotion. Looks for knockouts and decent ground game as well, to be fair to him, but especially for heavyweight, because a lot of heavyweights are just all about knockout power. So, all things considered, his submission game shouldn't be overlooked here. And it could potentially be a factor in the fight. Popek, on the other hand, is has a whole number of fights in the in Octagon. 8 wins, 1 loss, and a no contest as well over there for good measure. Had a fight as they lost in the PFL as well. And when I was talking about the more traditional heavyweights, was just go in there looking for the knockout straight away. That Popek fits that description. Uh, he can go the distance as well. He's got the stamina to do that, but his whole game plan is about trying to get the opponent out of there, usually within the first round. Um, of course, that is that is obviously what he'll be looking to do, but I think Lecker's it's just going to be slightly better here. I think, uh, despite being less experienced of the two, I think just a bit more versatile in his overall game, and I've gone with Lecker for second round knockout there. So again, a fairly close fight, but I think it's a fight that El Guapo is uh, sh should uh, should get through fairly easily, I reckon. Okay, Foghorn Sam is next up to face the wheel. Let's see who Foghorn Sam is going to be paired with. And he gets Dusko Todorovic. Dusko Todorovic for Foghorn Sam. Todorovic. And I believe there's someone else that he's up against Robert Valentin anyway. Dr. Maxis 2 was drawn with Robert Valentin just now, so that's another head-to-head for the purposes of our game. And as I said before, Todorovic, fairly well established in the promotion at this point. And coming off that win against Jose Medina in his last fight, the submission win. there, but he was on a three-fight losing streak before that, so it's he needed to snap that streak, and he did. So hopefully he'll be pushing on from here now, and uh, potentially going forth and yeah, building on that record, maybe becoming one of the really long-serving veterans of the UFC. Valentin, on the other hand, I don't think will be in the UFC for too much longer, unfortunately. Um, I think he has struggled at this level, so I think he'll probably lose this fight and he'll be back to the regional scene in Europe. Maybe he'll come back again at some point, have a second stint in the UFC. That's always possible, but I think Todorovic's got this one. I think second round knockout there for Todorovic is what's going to transpire tomorrow night, and I think Falcon Sam should be getting through to the second round fairly comfortably. Okay, so we've got another of our debutants here, Gramork. Um, Best of luck to you. Welcome to the game, and let's see who your first ever fighter is going to be in the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. And it's Eurus Medic. Eurus Medic there in the for your first ever fighter. You get one of the main eventers and a heavy favourite main eventer at that. So I suppose you can't really ask for too much more. Even if I do personally think Daniel Rodriguez will cause the upset here. Um, but no denying that Medic is on great form recently. Um, Finishing his last three opponents all in the first round. And Jeff Neal's a tough fighter to put away. Um, so knocking him out in the first round is that's no mean feat, even if Jeff Neal is not quite the fighter he used to be, getting on a little bit now, but it's still a very impressive win in that fashion. Um, Daniel Rodriguez, I say he's not on a bad streak either. He's won his last three, not all in the first round, admittedly, but unanimous decision against Kevin Holland in the last fight. That's nothing to be sniffed at. Um, and for me, just the more versatile of the two, the more experienced and the more versatile. Just got a better sub great game for one thing, and I think that combined with his experience, he's and potentially with Medic going all out for the early knockout, I think this is a very bad matchup for Medic actually. So um, I've gone with Rodriguez for the fourth round knockout here. Finish it late and spoil the party, but obviously the bookies disagree with me, and Graham Ork would be hoping that the bookies are right and that I'm wrong. Uh, that's certainly possible, but best of luck anyway. Okay, so Grahamon is next up. Let's see who Grahamon is going to be paired with. And Grahamon gets Alexander Rakic. Uh, Alexander Rakic there for Grahamon. Up against Marcin Tybura in what I like to refer to unofficially anyway as the tertiary main events, the third one down. After the Medic Rodriguez and Lankovic Sterling fights on the order, you got Tybura versus Rakic and Lankovic Sterling rather. You got Tybura versus Rakic, and Rakic very much proven himself in the UFC 14-6 records, six and overall in his career, 6 and 5 of that in the UFC. is on a four-fight losing streak, though. Is struggling at the moment. Um, Knockout loss against Azamat Murzakanov last time out. Although the other three losses, to be fair, they're respectable because they're against Ankalaev, Prochazka, and Lahovic, who are still very highly ranked at light heavyweight. So, um, I say you can't really fault him for those wins, for those losses rather, as they're against elite guys. So even though the four fight losing streak is something that he needs to snap, or maybe this move up to heavyweight will be the answer. Um, Marcin Tybura, uh, again, very experienced fighter. 27 wins in his career, 11 losses, 14 and 10 in the UFC. Uh, Also on a bit of a losing streak at the moment, two fight losing streak. Lost by knockout against Tyrell Fortune last time out. And Tybura isn't getting any younger either. He's 40 years old now, and he has been knocked out six times in his career. So I think that combined with the damage he's taken in his career and his age is really starting to catch up with him. So I think this is right for Rakic to get a win and yeah, really sort of try and establish himself up at heavyweight now. But anyway, it's Graham will be hoping that's the case, that's for sure. And Tybura is going to be a tough fight, but I think it's one Rakic should be winning. Uh, Graham obviously hoping that is the case as well. Okay, great is up next. Let's see who the wheel has in store for great. Oh, and another fighter on Eurosmedic for Eurosmedic is great this time on Eurosmedic, and so that's could potentially be a case of the main event ends up being the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event as well. That's I think three now on Medic, so as they're running out of things to say about him. Obviously, he's the current flavour of the month with his three fight knockout win, but um, as impressive as those last three have been, I think Daniel Rodriguez, because of that, he's earned himself a step up in competition, and Daniel Rodriguez is certainly that. Um, I still think that Rodriguez is much better than a lot of people are giving him credit for here. I think Rodriguez is going to upset a few people here. So, um, not a lot I can add to that, having already covered it three times already. But I think great, along with the others, could be in for a nasty surprise tomorrow night. Okay, so it's your boy SB is next to learn his fate. Let's see who it's your boy SB is going to be paired with. And it's Bogdan Grad for it's your boy SB. Bogdan Grad for it's your boy SB. And up against Dennis Buzuchka. And as I said earlier, I've gone with Grad to win this one. Not second round knockout. It's even though he is currently on that losing streak, he's I think Bazooka is the sort of fighter he'll be able to snap it against because Bazooka's also on a two fight losing streak, and for my money, has fared worse in the UFC than Bogdan Graz has. Um, and Graz usually looking for early knockouts. could potentially put Bazooka away in the first. I think Bazooka's a little bit tougher than that. I think he's good enough to be able to oh, excuse me, good enough to be able to hold out the second round at least. But uh, Grad will finish this, in my opinion. So a good pick there, a good bit of luck there, and I think we can expect to see it's your boy SB in the next rounds. Okay, Jack Soto next to face the wheel. Let's see who the wheel's got in store for him. Who will the wheel match Jack Soto with? Okay, Bogdan Grad again. Jack Soto with Bogdan Grad again there. Um, so it could end up being that the Bogdan Grads versus Bazooka fight could end up being our Lucky Bastard Game main event because I think that's at least three we've had on Bogdan Grad now with him coming up twice in a row there. So again, running out of things to say about him, so the analysis will get a little bit shorter. So we got to about the halfway stage of the video, I'd reckon. So obviously, once we start getting double ups, there's only so much uh, you can say about fighters. Really, you don't want to keep on banging on the same old talking points. But as especially seeing I've just spoken about him with it's your boy SB. Looking to break that losing streak, and I think Dennis Bazooka is the ideal opponent to do that against. So I think we can also expect to see Jack Soto in the second round as well. Okay, so we move on to the All American Alliance. Jordan and Pippen. Oh, that is QQQ, and Spotling. So the All American Alliance. Unfortunately, Americans are few and far between on this card, so no guarantee of getting an American fighter, but we'll see what the will can do for you. And it is Tofik Musiev. Tofik Musiev for Jordan and Pippin. So IQ Musayev. And up against one of the hometown favourites, Ludovic Klein. Um, and for me, I think Ludovic Klein is going to win by decision here. Um, very experienced fighter. Um, much more experienced in the UFC at least. Klein, 8 wins, 3 losses, this is 1 draw in the UFC, whereas Musiev 1-1 in the promotion, still fairly new to fighting at this level of competition. But as we said before, Musiev is fought in Rising, which is still very, very tough fighters over there. Very good records to have. It's a very good experience to have under your belt, and of course, won the tournament over there as well. Um, Musiev will try and finish this early, um, but I think Klein's going to be a little bit too experienced for that. I don't think Musiev is going to have too much that Klein's not already seen in his fairly long career so far. Musiev, to be fair, not inexperienced himself by any means, 23-6, but talking particularly relative to the experience, even though they've got the same number or similar number of fights in their MMA careers, the difference in UFC quality opposition is quite stark. So Musiev might struggle a little bit tomorrow, but Jordan and Pippin obviously going to be hoping that I'm wrong in that assessment. Okay, JP DeChamp 27 is up next. While I'm at it, I will just give a shout out to his own game that he runs on Tapology. He runs a game called the Baddest Motherfuckers game. And it's a very simple game. It's based on points. You make picks for the UFC, and I believe some PFL events potentially as well. Um, and you just post your predictions in the threads, and the more accurate your predictions are, the more points you score. And yeah, but that's all you have to do is just post your picks in the thread, and he adds them up. Uh, and I did run the game once for a couple of weeks after way back in its early days, and it is a tough game to run. There's a lot of maths involved, and uh, so yeah, massive respect for doing that week in week out. So, and it's a game you can hop in at any time as well. Unlike the Lucky Bastard game where you need to be in from the first round, um, you can just hop in at any time, and so it's very friendly for new users there. Well worth getting involved in if you haven't already. Or if yeah, if you haven't previously, start now. Start this week. Let's uh, let's see how JP to Champ 27 fares in the Lucky Bastard game. It's Dennis Bazooka for um, JP to Champ 27. So this is definitely looking like a Bazooka grad unofficial Lucky Bastard game. Um, yeah, main event, unofficial Lucky Bastard game main event potentially. Um, so talk a little bit about Bazooka, and he's in a little bit of a sort of situation where he does need to get a win to turn around his fortunes here of 1-4 in the promotion, as I've mentioned before. On a two-fight win streak, having been knocked out by Marcelo Barbosa last time out. Um, and his uh, his best hope really is to try and find an early finish because that's where he's had the most success previously. Um, Bogdan Grad's, as I say, second round knockout is my prediction for him. Um, it's very, I say, even though he's had his struggles in the UFC as well, this is an ideal fight for him to sort of reset, refocus, and sort of come back from. It's I think this is going to be a very, very long fight for Bazooka. It's going to be a very tough one for him. In turn, I think this is going to be very tough for JP to champ 27 as well. I think he's going to need a lot of luck to get through in this one. But best of luck to you anyway. Okay, so it's KK Kombu next to learn his fates. Let's see who KK Kombu is going to be matched with. And KK Kombu gets a Navarro Sterling. Navarro Sterling there for KK Kombu. In the co-main event against Jan Blachowicz. And I say Sterling, very impressive looking career so far. Still 10-0, so still very inexperienced, all things considered, but 5-0 in the UFC is definitely not to be sniffed at. Um, knocked out Iron Cutelaba in his last fight, and that's his main thing really. It's just been everyone he's been up against. He's knocked him out for the most parts, but he has gone the distance quite a few times as well. So when he hasn't been able to um, blast somebody away quickly, he's been able to adapt and get the win on the scorecards as well, which uh, shows incredible maturity for to be able to do that, and incredible ability to be able to do that as well. So, um, and I think that's what this is how this fight's going to go as well. I think he's going to get the decision win against Blachowicz. Because I can't see Blachowicz being knocked out in this fight anyway. Um, so I think Sterling. yeah, this is going to be a real passing of the torch kind of fight, really. The much older Blahovic passing the baton on to Navajo Sterling. Um, it's possible maybe Blahovic has some old school tricks that uh, Sterling's not seen that catches him out and produces an upset potentially. But I think it's more likely Sterling gets to win, as he's a very, very good looking prospect. So I think we can expect to see KK Combo in the second round. Okay, Knife Rusty is next up. Let's see who Knife Rusty is going to be paired with. It's Noah Gugnon for Knife Rusty. Noah Gugnon. And up against Milos Janisic. And this is one of the closest, if not probably the closest fight on the cards. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that separates Janisic and Gugnon is the experience. And uh, unfortunately, well, unfortunately for Knife Rusty anyway, Janisic is the more experienced of the two, 19-3 compared to Gugnon's 9-2 records. They're both very similar fighters, both making their debuts, both respectable regional records coming into it, and yeah, both fairly well rounded in terms of their skill set, even if they both prefer to try and look for the knockouts. But I think ultimately Janisic's experience is going to be what separates the two, what decides the fight. Um, so Knife Rusty, to be fair, is in a real 50-50 fight here. This is it can go either way kind of fight, but I think you got the slight underdog in this 50-50 fight. Okay, so we move on now to Cushy Cake. Let's see who Cushy Cake is going to be matched with. And Cushy Cake gets Ludovic Klein. Ludovic Klein for Cushy Cake there. That is an L apostrophe Ludovic. K-L-E-I. Having a fun time trying to spell some of these names on this card, that's for sure. Right. Hometown fighter, as mentioned before, I got into Tofik Musiev, who I feel like quite a few people have been drawn with Tofik Musiev as well. In this one, so this could potentially be another candidate for the unofficial title of the Lucky Bastard Game main event, maybe. But I say, well, very well-rounded fighter, Klein, and very experienced too, having 30 fights in his career overall. As well as the fact he also competes in grappling outside of the in the UFC. I think his last fight was actually in any combat sport was a grappling match. Um, so very good wrestler, very good grappler. Obviously, that's part of his skill. So you don't have 30 fights in an MMA career without knowing a thing or two about grappling. But I think it could give Musiev quite a few problems with that. So that's why I've gone with Ludovic Klein for decision win here. So Cushy Cake's obviously going to be hoping that that I'm right for once, and that Ludovic Klein gets the win. The hometown crowd will as well, hoping he gets the win. So yeah, I think Cushy Cake's got a decent chance getting through to the second round here. Okay, so Mule Floyd is up next to learn his fate. We'll just give a shout out to Mule Floyd as well, as he does some amazing breakdowns of the order of the Lucky Bastard game. after each round, obviously, it's a complete mess as to who's been drawn with who and what the matchups are, and he always does an incredible write up, including the odds as well, to explain who's up against who with who, and how likely it is, according to the bookies, that they'll be going through. Uh, and it makes it much easier to sort of follow along when watching the UFC. Just refer back to his comments. See, right, okay, so next fight, who's involved, and it's a wonderful addition to the game. So, thank you so much for those contributions. They're always very welcome, especially in the first round when it's complete mayhem. When you've got about 40 different people, about 20 plus fighters. Well, in this case, 43 people, 28 fighters. That's a lot of double ups and random permutations. But best of luck for yourself anyway. Best of luck to getting into the second round. Let's see what the wheel's got in store for you. It's Kyle Tripolak from Mule Floyd. Kyle Tripolak. I believe that's the first time Tripolak has come out of the wheel in this draw. Uh, Up against Mateus Rebecki. Could believe it's actually might be the first time this fight's come up. This is a lightweight contest. Rapolek, unfortunately, he might. I'm not going to beat around the bush. He doesn't have a chance. He's fucked. Um, I'm sorry to say it like that, but uh, 0-4 in the UFC up against Mateus Rebecki, who's okay 4-4 in the UFC, which might not be the most glamorous looking record, but it's very respectable UFC records. Never knock anyone for having a 4-4 record, but um, Pripolek just simply isn't at UFC level. Um, Admittedly, they are across two. His 0-4 record is made up of two different UFC stints. We will just make that distinction. He went 0-2 in the UFC several years earlier, got cut, and then fair play to him. He didn't give up on it. He fought his way back. He got back into the promotion. But unfortunately for him, he has now gone 0-2 again in the UFC. Um, and he's a good fighter, but he's just not quite UFC level. Um, and uh, Rebecca, very powerful knockout artist. Um, very well rounded as well. He's looks for finishes, whether it's submission or decision, submission or knockout. He's can go the distance as well. He's got great gas tank on him. He's just got everything in his favor, really. And I think, truthfully, he can choose to an extent how this ends. Um, I think he's going to do it by first round submission, but in any case, I think Rebecca's going to get a very comfortable first round finish here. So, unfortunately, with Mill Floyd, he's probably been picked with the worst fighter you can get in this round, unfortunately. So, yeah, that sucks. My condolences, Mill Floyd, but who knows? Maybe Ripolek can cause a massive upset. Let's hope so. You never know. Stranger things have happened in MMA. Okay, so we move on now to Piggy Bank. Let's see who the wheels got in store for Piggy Bank. And Stephanie Luciano for Piggy Bank. Stephanie Luciano. And first fight on the card, and quite an interesting fight in the sense that I think this might be the only fight on the card where she's up against hometown fighter. In this case, Marina Spasic, where the hometown fighter isn't the bookie's favourite as well. Luciano, I believe, is the slight favourite, and rightly so, in my opinion. Luciano, 7 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw in her career, 2-1 in the UFC. Had a fight in LFA as well. Um, got a submission win against Ravina Oliveira last time out. Um, and more than comfortable going the distance. A lot of her fights do go to the judges' scorecards, so she usually comes out on top when that happens. And that's how I think she's going to win against Spasic tomorrow night. I think another unanimous decision will be in store here. Spasic is a very good-looking fighter in terms of being a potential prospect for the promotion in the future, but this is a very tough UFC debut for her. She does go for the knockouts in all rounds as well, which she's fairly patient killer as well. She doesn't rush in. She sort of bides her time, and so I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a lot more of her in the UFC. But this is a very surprisingly tough matchup for Luciano in the UFC. I'd have thought maybe they'd try to have given her a lighter touch, but uh, if they want to try and build up a Serbian market, but Luciano is the favourite, should be the favourite, and luckily for Piggy Bank, that is who he's been drawn with. So I think Piggy Bank should be getting through to the second round. Okay, so we've got Rigno is next to discover his fate. Let's see who the wheel has in store for Rigno. It's Alexander Rakic for Rigno there. And up against Marcin Tybura. And as they should be in my opinion, the slight favourite here. I say, went with, as I said earlier, I had the first round knockout prediction for him. Uh, Again, hometown fighter, he'll have the crowd backing him. Um, and this is, in my opinion, a good fight for him to break that losing streak that he was on, which, to be fair, he mostly accumulated in the different division. So I suppose the extra weight will benefit him as well. And Tybura will be a tough fight, but he's a little bit past his prime now, and has been knocked out a lot in his career. And as I mentioned earlier, is the age combined with the damage. It's not a good combination, especially at heavyweight. Where heavyweight's always been a division where one shot can turn your lights out, but especially true under those circumstances. But Rakic should be. I mean, he's still not exactly a young fighter, so he's 34. So he's 6 years a junior, I believe, to Tybura. But and it's in terms of experience as well. Yes, Tybura is far more experienced than Rakic, both in terms of his career and having fought UFC level fighters. But Rakic's 11 fights in the promotion himself, so he's used to this level of opposition, and I don't think Tybura is going to pose as much of a threat, really. Certainly not compared to some of the fighters he fought down at light heavyweight, for sure. So I think this is a good matchup for Rigno. I think Rigno can Obviously, don't count your chickens till they've hatched, but I mean, I think we can expect to see him in the second round. Okay, so Shat is next up. Let's see who Shat is going to be paired with. It's Milos Janisic or Shat there. Milos Janisic. Milos Janisic. Up against Noah Gugnon in the lightweight contest, and I've gone with Janisic for a second round knockout. As I've said, this fight's come up quite a few times actually, so I won't spend too long on it. But as I've said, it's the main difference will be their experience. The differences in experience, and Janisic is the more experienced of the two. So, um, in what is probably the most 50-50 fight on the cards, um, I think Janisic's experience is going to be the main difference between the two fighters here. Um, make for a cracking fight because obviously both fighters making their debuts, similar styles as well, so they're going to be going for it, going right at it to make a good impression in their first fight in the promotion. But Janisic's experience is going to be the thing that decides the fight for me. So I think a decent pick there for Shats. Much closer fight. It's not going to be a comfortable route into the second round, but I think definitely better than some of the other routes for sure. Okay, so we have another debutant here. She Kane or She Kane, Shish Shish Kebab. Anyway, welcome to the game. Best of luck to you. Let's see who your first ever fighter is going to be in the game. And Bogdan Grad, another one for the Bogdan Grad hype train. Uh, Bogdan Grad for Shishkine. Um, and yeah, again, there's not really much else I can say about Bogdan Grad. Um, Up against Dennis Bajushka. So this is probably end up be the Lucky Bastard Game main event the way it's going. It's probably about four people, maybe five on grads. I've sort of lost track of it. Um, but I say he needs to get his UFC career back on track, but then so does Bajuka, and I think this is grads the more one of the more likely to do it. Um, I've got him by second round knockouts, um, and I think this potentially could be the last we see of Dennis Bajuka in the UFC, potentially, or at least for a little while anyway. I hope um, if he does end up getting cut from the promotion, and I hope obviously he spends time improving back on the American regional scene. And they've got a lot of good promotions over there that you can fight in. Fury and CFFC, uh, particularly take a lot of the old UFC veterans and give them a pathway back to the promotion. So not the end of the world for him, but um, it'd be nice to see him back again. But at this moment in time, he's just not quite at UFC level. So gone with Bogdan Grad there, second round knockout, and Sheesh Kine, yeah, should be. I say should be getting through to the second round and your first attempt. So off to a good start, in my opinion. Okay, so we have CN6 now. Let's see who the wheels got in store for CN6, who his dance partner for tomorrow afternoon will be. and Milos Janisic, another fighter I feel like has come up quite a few times tonight. Milos Janisic. Um, yeah, so we can, yeah, Noah Goodkin, as you all know by now. Um, and I say it's very, very close fight, but it's the experience that's going to be the difference between them. And Janisic is the more experienced of the two. Um, so yeah, not really much else I can add to that, having covered that fight a bunch of times. I think quite a few people have been drawn with the opponent, Noah Gugnon, as well. So yeah, a very close fight, but Janisic's experience would be what edges it. I think that's be the difference that brings Siontix into the second round. Okay, so I'm up next. Steve Terry, that me, myself, and I. Let's see who I get paired with. And I get Vlasto Seppo. I get Vlasto Seppo for me, Steve Terry. Uh, it seems weird saying your own name, actually. It's weird, especially your full name. It's yeah, Steve Terry or Stephen Terry. I never quite know which one sounds better. Anyway, Vlasto Seppo, much cooler name than mine, that's for sure. Um, and honestly, I'm happy with that pick because I've got him by first round knockouts against Gilbert Urbina. Uh, 14-3 in his career, hometown fighter, so he got that advantage. Looking to make an impression on his UFC debut. Um, I say coming into it with a 6-2 record from Octagon, so which is very a good base to go in from. And to be fair to Urbina, he's 1-1 in LFA before he was in the UFC, but has struggled in the UFC, going 1-3 in the promotion. So you can potentially make the argument that he's not quite at the UFC level. Um, Lost his last two against Urosh Medic and Charles Radke. Um, I say decent fighter, fairly well-rounded skill set, but has struggled at this level. And Vlasto Seppo very much coming in to try and introduce himself to the UFC fan base, and this is a perfect fight for him to try and put himself in the shop window, so to speak, for the new fans. And more importantly for me, I think of quite an easy route into the second round. This is probably the most confident I've been for a while. I don't make the second round that often, so yeah, it'd be nice to actually have an easy route into the second round for once. So yeah, thank you, Will. Very kind of you. Rare show of mercy. Okay, so up next is the Dirty UFC Man. Let's see who, if the wheel's going to be as merciful to the Dirty UFC Man. And Dirty UFC Man gets Mateusz Rebecki. Mateusz Rebecki there. Um, Check out spell that Rebecki. And very heavy favourite against Kyle Pripolek, who Mule Floyd had the misfortune of being drawn against earlier. But this, for the Dirty UFC Man, is one of the easiest routes into the second round you can hope for on this card. Um, so, and to be fair, I think that's more because of because he's fighting Propolek rather than anything else. But I say Rebecca was the dominant champion at FEN, as it defended his belt 6 times over there. Yeah, so that's obviously FEN isn't the highest level promotion. Admittedly, it's certainly not UFC level, but went 4-4 since coming into the promotion, so he's proved he's at this level, even if he maybe won't be touching lightweight gold anytime soon. Uh, he's still a very strong fighter to have in the promotion. Um, he's on a losing streak at the moment, though, three-fight losing streak, but um, lost against Grant Dawson in his last fight. But um, this is um, if he can't beat Kyle Propolek, then it's going to be then he'll have to have some serious questions um, about his game plan, about his coaching and where he is in his career, because this is he needs a comeback fight, and this is about as good as a comeback fight you can ask for. So he should still, like I say, he should still get it done very comfortably. I've got him by first round submission. I think he can choose pretty much whether it's a first round knockout or first round submission, to be honest. But the Dirty UFC man there with a very good first round draw. So should consider himself lucky for that. Okay, the matchmaker is next up. Let's see who the matchmaker is going to be matched with. What matchmaking has the wheel got in store for the matchmaker? And the matchmaker gets Haley Cohen. Haley Cohen for the matchmaker. And up against Nina Milicevic, who is making her debut in the promotion and's a hometown fighter as well. But as I said earlier, even though I still think Milicevic will win, I think Cohen's going to make a real fight of it. It's going to, I can see Cohen potentially going the distance, but at the very least, I don't see Cohen being bowled over the same way quite a lot of Milisevic's other opponents have, in the way she's blasted them away in the first round. I think Cohen's going to prove a much sterner test. Uh, who knows? Maybe even produce an upset win potentially. But Hayley Cohen would make a good fight of this, I reckon. Even if she's still going to be on the wrong end of the scorecards, or potentially still, as I predicted, on the wrong end of a later finish. I think she's going to surprise a lot of people here tomorrow afternoon. So the matchmaker will need a lot of luck, admittedly, to get through, but um, she'll do you proud anyway. Okay, the MMA historian is next up. Let's see who the wheel's got in store for the MMA historian. It gets Tofik Musiev for the MMA historian. So FIQ Musiev. And again, I feel like he's come up quite a few times as an individual fighter. I don't think too many have been on Ludovic Klein, but I feel like Tofik Musiev has, as an individual fighter, come up quite a lot. So I think it's quite a one-sided fight, this one, in terms of the number of lucky bastards on Musiev compared to Klein. But Ludovic Klein is going to be, in my opinion, the favourite, and I've got him by decision. Um, I say very, very well-rounded fighter, and I say he also competes outside the UFC in grappling as well, and that's going to be the main thing I think is going to be causing Musiev problems. Um, but Musiev as well, as you mentioned, rising tournament winner as well, and has a good number of fights over there, 7-1 over there. So um, he's not going to be a pushover by any means, and I certainly can't see Klein finishing him. It's going to be way too good for that. But I think in a relatively close fight, Musiev should be the underdog here. Um, but I think the MMA historian could potentially be confined to MMA history for this edition at least. Okay, Tosh is next to face the wheel. Let's see who Tosh is going to be matched with. And that's unfortunate. Kyle Pripolek for Tosh there. Um, yeah, Kyle Pripolek. Polek, spell his name right at least. But yeah, I just don't think Pripolek has a chance here. I think it's going to be a very, very tough fight for him against Mateus Rebecki. Um, as I've mentioned, when Mule Floyd got drawn with Pripolek, he's going to need a miracle to yeah to get through. But you got each other, I suppose. There's a cold comfort if ever there was one. But yeah, I can't see Pripolek winning this fight at all, to be honest. I'm just trying to think of ways to sort of play devil's advocate here and sort of, uh, I'd say potentially. I mean, he did have a win in Bellator many years ago, but again, as he's proven across his two stints in the UFC, it's just not proven to be UFC level, unfortunately. I think Rebecca will make very quick work of Pripolek. Um, So yeah, my commiserations there to Tosh as well. That's very unfortunate. Okay, let's see if Trail is a little bit more fortunate with the wheel, and it's Marcin Tybura. Uh, Marcin Tybura for Trail, and in the tertiary main event against Alexander Rakic, and Tybura's mainstay of UFC heavyweights division, a true UFC veteran. So going to be there's not going to be anything that Rakic is going to be able to um, throw at him, and it will be a surprise per se. But I think with Tybura, the main factor is that as good as he was back in his prime, it's age and the damage. It's going to catch up to him, and it comes for us all, to be fair. So it's yeah, I think it's going to be a case of Rakic. Even though Rakic isn't exactly, I was going to refer to him as like this sort of up and coming prospect. He's not really at all. He's been in the UFC for ages. There's not even a sort of a veteran versus uh, a new kid on the block kind of fight, as you could maybe argue something like Blachowicz versus Sterling is. But uh, comparatively speaking, anyway, I think this is going to be a case of Rakic sort of making a name for himself in the UFC against, at least in this division anyway. Still fairly new to the heavyweight division, so maybe try and make a statement to the rest of the heavyweight division with uh, a very effective win over Tybura. But unfortunately for Trail, I think that's the end of the trail for him, or at least for this game anyway. Okay, so Trig is up next, and I'll say before I do the spin for him, I'll just give a shout out to his game that he runs as well on Tapology. He runs the Tapology Wagering League, which is it's not real money, so there's no real capital at stake here. Uh, but you start with 50 grand or a little bit less if you join in later, given that the game's been running for a few weeks now. But you can join in at any time and basically make your bets for the UFC, and you just post what you want along with the odds, how much, which fighters, and then he does the painstaking work of working out everyone's bets and working out how much virtual money they win or lose. Um, I say great fun to be a part in. If you want to sort of test your betting knowledge without actually having to remortgage your second home. Uh, uh, it's remortgage, well, your second mortgage on your own, rather. I was going to say you'd have to be a fucking millionaire to have a second home these days. But you mean second mortgage on your own, is what I meant to say. No, I mean, maybe some of you are rich enough to have second homes, and good luck to you. But I mean, some of us still trying to save up for a fucking deposit on a flat. But anyway, hey ho. Well, back to what I was saying. Anyways, it's a great game to be drawn in with, to be involved with, and to test your knowledge. Or your would-be gambling knowledge, see how lucky or unlucky you would be. But um, but yeah, so check out the Tapology Wagering League in the forums. So that's great fun for to be a part of, and thanks for running it, Trig. And best of luck with this game. Let's see how well you fare in here. Mateus Rebecki again, another fighter. I feel like there's a few names that I feel like have come up quite a few times now, but I think Mateus Rebecki. I'm not spelling that one right, am I? Re Rebecki. Anyway, I feel like he's come up quite a few times, and it's it's good for those that have been drawn with him because up against Karl Popolek, that's about as easy a route to the second round as he can hope for. Um, I say he does need to turn his fortunes around, admittedly, on that three-fight losing streak. But against Popolek, he should be able to turn that losing streak around. Be very surprised if he doesn't. But yeah, so Trick is, I'd say, is almost as certain through to the second round as you can hope for, realistically. Okay, so next up is Troz. Obviously the second part of the Trostradamus Alliance, or the former Trostradamus Alliance, I should say. Um, Going it alone, just like Costradamus earlier on in the video. So let's uh, let's see if he's a bit luckier um, on his own. So best of luck to Troz. Let's see who he ends up with. Ooh, right on the edge there, but it's Denis Buzujka. He gets drawn with. Denis Buzujka for Troz. And up against Bogdan Graz, which I'm convinced now is pretty much going to be the main event, or unofficial Lucky Bastard Game main event. Uh, but have gone with Grad for a second round knockout, as I've mentioned several times now. Um, Bogdan Grad's on a losing streak, looks to turn it around after his knockout loss against Barboza last time, Marcio Barboza, and that is, and yeah, if he's going to win, be an early knockout, but and he can go the distance as well, but he doesn't. It's not always a guarantee, really. Sometimes when he gets gone the distance 10 times, uh, he's won six of them and lost four of them. So if he does survive to go the distance, it's not always guaranteed that his style is going to resonate with judges, and not always guaranteed that he'll get his hand raised at the end of it. So But yeah, a bit of luck needed for Troz, unfortunately. Um, Best of luck anyway, but maybe even better off sticking with the alliance. Okay, well, speaking of alliances, the second and last one in this game is Uber Industry, and well, we'll give them a shout out for them. No, since they've formed, they've not broken up once. They have the German alliance have been rock solid, and to be fair, Jordan and Pippin haven't separated either since they formed uh, their All American alliance, QQQ, and Spotling, of course. But Uber Industry is the longest alliance that's still going and still never broken up. So fair play to that sort of German solidarity. And best of luck to you, Uber Match and Schwer Industry. And the Germans get the Welsh gangster, Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott there for Uber Industry. I was like, Urban Elliott, very useful fighter, but against Michael Oliveira, this is going to be a very tough matchup. Oliveira coming into it 9-0, into his UFC debut. This is um, been in the LFA and just been knocking everyone out in the LFA. Usually in the first round as well. Urban Elliott, a very useful fighter himself, not a bad fighter at all. And I think the fact that the UFC have decided to pair Oliveira up against Elliott is to some extent saying that we know how dangerous Oliveira can be. He needs a challenge. Obi Elliott is a very solid fighter. Will uh, be a test for Oliveira, but unfortunately, I still think that the sheer power that Oliveira possesses is going to be a problem. And I think this could be a very quick fight potentially, but who knows? Maybe if Urban Elliott can sort of survive that onslaught, sort of stretch the fight out a little bit, and maybe gas out Oliveira. Maybe that will uh, be the most logical path to victory. Potentially get a decision that way, or maybe even a late finish. But as it stands, I think Oliveira will be the one who's going to be getting his hand raised and uh, after the first round as well. Okay, so we move on to Vazquez 88 now. Let's see who Vazquez 88 is going to be matched with. And Vazquez gets Marina Spasic. Marina Spasic for Vazquez 88. I believe that's the first time Marina Spasic has come out of the hats. Um, First fight on the card against Stephanie Luciano. Someone else definitely got Luciano. But I think this is the first time someone's been drawn with Spasic. So a new name at this late stage of the draw. Um, and I say very interesting fighter making her debut. And even if she's got a very tough fight for her debut, which is interesting that the UFC have matched her up against Luciano. I'd have thought they'd have wanted to give her an easier touch, but uh, maybe she's better than we realise. I don't know, but I think the bookies also have Luciano as the favourite as well. Um, Spasic looks for knockouts and very patient. Gets It's not just rushing in the first round trying to get the knockout straight away. Can finish you at any time. But I think Luciano just having already established herself in the UFC a little bit, will be uh, just a little bit too tough for Spasic. I think Luciano's fought better people in the past, particularly that win over Ravina Oliveira. I mean, if hypothetically we was talking a potential Ravina Oliveira versus Spasic fight, I'd probably favour Oliveira for that. So that's a very good win, that. And more importantly, though, she's um, yeah, like I say, just more experience. 2-1 in the UFC now, so she's sort of definitely starting to get herself established in the promotion. Straw race, and yeah, I think Spasic not without a chance by any means, but I think will do well to try and uh to get a win here. But we'll have the home crowd behind her, roaring her on for it, trying to make it happen for sure. Okay, so finally we have ex-con Chris, the last person to be matched up with a fighter. So again, as we're talking about other games as well, I'll just give a shout out to ex-con Chris, who runs his Tapology Survivor game on the forums, and the idea of that is very similar to this in a way. In fact, this is pretty much a parody of the Survivor game, whereas this you just get drawn with random fighters, and there's no skill to it whatsoever. In the Survivor game, three fights are selected. The first one is the one that counts. The other two are just backups in case the first fight falls through. But you get told what the fight is, and you have to pick who you think's going to win it. Usually a close fight that he picks for it as well. Very good with his choices. So it doesn't make it easy. And it's similar to this game, but you actually have to have a bit of skill. You actually have to know what you're doing. I can testify to that because I'm already out in the first round. Um, but it's a great game to be a part of, and thanks for running it. And best of luck, XCon. Best of luck, XCon or Chris. I don't know. I prefer uh, XCon might be your first name. I don't know. But anyway, best of luck. See who you get drawn with by the wheel. And you get one of the main eventers, Daniel Rodriguez. And yeah, so Daniel Rodriguez there for ex-con Chris. I don't think Rodriguez himself has come out of the wheel either so far, actually. I think obviously Medic has quite a few times, but I'm not sure if anyone has been drawn with Rodriguez yet. But I think Rodriguez is going to win this, despite being the underdog. I think I say he's going to survive Medic's early onslaught of obviously Medic's going to try to put him away in the first round, and I think Rodriguez will survive that. So and for my money, I think he's a more versatile fighter. He can um particularly on the ground as well. Um, so I think he's Rodriguez is going to cause Medic a lot of problems. I think it's a very bad stylistic matchup for Euros Medic. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez either wins a decision or potentially even finishes him late. As what my prediction for fourth round is. But I think X1 Chris, decent chance of getting through, even if the bookies wouldn't agree with my opinion on it. Okay, so that concludes the first round draw for the 39th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. I'll just scroll to the top and run through those names, remind ourselves who's been drawn with who. I won't try and match up all the permutations as to who's fighting against who and which fighters have got multiple people on. But here is your final rundown, anyway, of the first round draw for the 39th edition of Tapology Lucky Bastard game. We have debutant Aidan Weller 07 with Tofik Musiev. Ayla Myosophanese with Vlasto Seppo. Baron von Rattus with Milos Janisic. Bellatrix with Mark Vologdin. Boom Shakalaka with Dennis Bajuka. Kalfoth with Nina Milosevic. Ken Hager-Ariz with Bogdan Grad. C. Collins 44 with Hayley Cohen. Cheeseball with Jan Blahovic. Chimps Mac with Tofik Musiev. Kostradamus with Noah Gugnon. D1, D4, K10 with Oban Elliott. Damien Handel 420 with Euros Medic. Dr. Maxis 2 with Robert Valentin. El Guapo with Jovan Lecker. Foghorn Sam with Dusko Todorovic. Another debutant, Gramork with Euros Medic. Grahaman with Alexander Rakic. Great with Euros Medic. It's your boy SB with Bogdan Grad. As is Jack Soto also with Bogdan Grad. Jordan and Pippin with Tofik Musiev. JP Deschamps 27 with Dennis Bazuka. KK Kombu with Navajo Sterling. Knife Rusty with Noah Gugnon. Cushy Cake with Ludovic Klein. Mule Floyd with Kyle Pripolek. Piggy Bank with Stephanie Luciano. Rigno with Alexander Rakic. Shat with Milos Janisic. Sheesh Kine, another debutant, with Bogdan Grad. Sion 6 with Milos Janisic. Me, Steve Terry, with Vlasto Seppo. The Dirty UFC Man with Mateus Rebecki. The Matchmaker with Hayley Cohen. The MMA Historian with Tofik Musiev. Tosh with Kyle Pripolek. Shrail with Marcin Tybura. Trig with Mateus Rebecki. Schroz with Dennis Bazuka. Uber Industry with Oban Elliott. Vasquez 88 with Marina Spasic. And finally, Excon Chris with Daniel Rodriguez. So that concludes the first round draw, and bit of a mixed bag there, actually. It's well, it always is in the first round. The first round is always mayhem. But normally we end up with about a 50% elimination rate. So we're 43 people in this one. So we'll probably be down to about, I'd say, mid-20s, around that, maybe early to mid-20s number of people in this round, in the second round. But all that leaves me to say is best of luck to all of you in this game. Best of luck with your picks on Tapology. If you have any bets on this card, then best of luck with those. We always like to see people try to win some money from the bookies. But until the next round, so long for now.